Listen, all young heroes well, whom the chess game doth compel. Aspiring masters of the game, come and enter here your name. Then, I beg, click on the seal. The world of chess awaits your zeal.
What does he want?
You've got to enter your name. Or if it's already on the list, click on it. And then click on the seal. Get it?
Oh, right.
Learn to play chess with Fritz and Chester. Once upon a time, there was a small country, a very, very small country. And this very small country was ruled by a very wise king. In fact, he was the wisest king there had ever been. And he was called King White.
What's wrong? Aren't you feeling well?
Yes, no, I don't know. I can't really be bothered with it all anymore.
Perhaps we should go to the seaside for a few days.
Impossible. A king can't just go on holiday. Who'd stand in for me?
Our son Fritz, of course. It's only for a few days. And his cousin Bianca is here too. I'm sure she'll help him, won't you, Bianca?
Sure! Cool! Free run of the castle! And you get to play king! I think we'll have a lot of fun.
I'm not really sure.
That mini bit of ruling. Wait until we get going. They won't know it's hit them.
There you are, you see. What's the problem?
I really like the idea of going on holiday.
So, how does it feel being the king's stand-in?
Half good to almost bad, if you ask me.
Well, I think it's great.
A challenge is given to King White to drop all tasks and come to fight. A tournament of great import, not without much danger fraught. While King and Queen are far away, King Black decides on unfair play. He challenges the stand-in king to a duel he's sure he'll win.
A duel?
Let him finish.
To the arena he must hurry. There is no time to stop and worry. There's no way out that he may take. He's duty-bound, make no mistake.
What did he want?
Oh, no. If I understood him correctly, I've got to go to the arena and fight a duel with King Black.
A duel? Wow! Now this I've got to see.
You mean I have to battle it out with King Black while you just sit and watch, stuffing yourself with popcorn?
Exactly. I mean, no, of course not. I'll help you, silly. Who's that?
King Kaleidoscope, an old friend of my granddad's.
Hello, Fritz. I was just on my way to visit your mum and dad.
Oh, they've gone away on vacation.
And we're off now, too, because we've just had a super cool invite to our own personal duel against King Black in some arena or other.
Oh, my goodness.
Is that a bad thing?
Or is it even a little dangerous?
Not really, but it's a question of honor. And King Black is not one to mess around with. No one's beaten him for years. The last person to do it was him, your granddad, Fritz. God rest his soul. It was a historic tournament. At first, he acted as though he wouldn't hurt a fly, but secretly he was busy wrapping King Black round his little finger before finishing him off good and proper. You should be really proud of him, Fritz.
Sounds like these king's duels are really easy.
Anyway, you should definitely get in some brain training at the IntelliGym before you go.
The what?
It's a kind of training center for trainee duelers near the arena. I'll show you how to get there.
I think we should have a closer look around here.
So what do you have to do in a duel?
You're the king, so you're the most important man. But you don't actually have to do very much.
But I have to do a little bit, don't I?
Yes, how can I best explain it? Do you know what sumo wrestling is?
A kind of judo for extremely fat people, isn't it?
Exactly.
These guys are sumo wrestlers. Imagine you're the red-haired one. If you can push the other one off the mat, then you're the winner.
And how do I do that?
You have to click on one of the adjacent squares. Your player can then move on to it. But you're not allowed to stand right next to the other wrestler. You're both too fat for that. If you're careful and keep an eye out for your opponent's mistakes, you can push him off the mat. If you haven't done it in 20 turns, then he's won.
That's mean.
Not at all. You've got a fair chance. Your opponent is only human too, and everyone makes mistakes.
Hey, I've won.
These towers were originally built to help families with a lot of children live all together. Unfortunately, they were built quick as a flash in a really cheapskate way, and they aren't very stable.
The main thing is you've got a roof over your head.
As long as it doesn't fall down on top of you.
Doesn't look very inviting. Who lives in a thing like that?
This is where Tramplina Saveapenny lives, a very rich and miserly old woman. She only bought the tower because it was so cheap. But if you're scared of spiders, then living in such a building with all its nooks and crannies isn't very much fun.
And is she?
Terrified! Old Saveapenny is famous for being miserly, and she's always on the lookout for more money to save. Show her a way around without meeting any spiders. Do you think you can do that?
Sure, but how do I move?
Use the arrow keys.
Come on, let's get going.
Not bad, but not quite good enough to be up there with the best.
What's that shack over there?
That's King Black's castle.
The one who's challenged me to a duel?
Precisely. And you never guess what his hobby is. He collects traps for mice and rats, and no one knows why.
What a strange guy! I'd really like to beat that mean old King Black.
Take it easy, young lady. Don't get so excited.
Whoops!
I suppose this is where the traps King Black collects are made.
No, that's his china factory. It's where King Black trains before he challenges anyone to a duel.
I think we really should get a look inside this place. Toilet bowls. There are loads of toilet bowls in here.
If only they were soup bowls.
Sometimes King Black comes here to train. He positions the block at the bottom, so the ball can bounce off it to smash the toilets, taking as little time as possible. Want to try it?
We can't do that. We can't just smash up someone else's toilets.
But if that someone has waited until King White goes on vacation before challenging his young son to a duel, then you certainly can. Now go ahead.
That wasn't too bad, was it?
Not at all. So now you can add your name to the list of the all-time greatest toilet smashers and then click on the seal.
Not bad at all. What on earth was that?
Now we're approaching my humble castle.
Call that a castle?
Looks more like a cottage. Compared to our castle, that is.
My wife and I simply prefer things to be small and comfortable.
Oh, isn't it lovely? There are flowers everywhere.
Come on, let's go into the garden and find my wife.
Of course, the flowers don't last forever. So, my darling queen has to hurry from one spot to the next, picking flowers for her bouquet. She can move diagonally or in a straight line, depending on which of the points on her crown you click on.
That's easy.
But not as easy as it sounds. There are lots of different routes. Some are good and some take too long, so the flowers wilt and die before you get to them. Take a chance and try to take the shortest route because you haven't got much time.
What a nice bunch of flowers.
You've done it. The vase is full.
Pretty here.
Yes, it's a nice place, even if it's sometimes a bit smelly.
It's the country, isn't it?
What on earth was that? There are horses here, too.
That could be important for the duel.
Can you ride, Fritz?
A little.
Then let's get some practice, okay?
This is a show jumping course with different kinds of fences. You have to try and jump over them, taking the shortest possible route.
Just jump over? That's a cinch.
Only one problem. The horse, which in chess we call a knight, by the way, can only move like the letter L. 2 forward and 1 to the side.
You what?
2 forward, 1 to the side. But it can jump over obstacles that are in its way.
Good thinking.
You're a champion. Great time and hardly any jumps. You're a natural.
Well jumped, my knight.
That's the way to do it. Keep it up.
Terrific jumping. Good job.
Ready for the Olympics, I'd say.
Elegantly jumped and no mistakes. This candidate is ready for the next round.
Wow, that was great jumping. Can't wait till next time. A horse! A horse! My kingdom for a horse! Let's move on!
Well done. Hooray! Now you've done all the courses.
How much further is it to this brain-building IntelliGym?
We're nearly there. But I want to show you something else first.
Can you see that village? Over there, you can find out about the pawns from Pleasantville and their game Pawn Whopping.
Pawn whatting?
Pleasantville Pawn Whopping. It's a mixture of football, wrestling, and karate.
Wow, we've got to see this.
In Pleasantville Pawn Whopping, there are two teams who try to get to the land owned by the opposite team. Knock on each of the doors and they'll explain it to you in more detail. But please knock on the doors in the right order.
Right, so you want to try, do you? Well, let me explain what you have to do then. Here in Pleasantville, it goes like this. You just go forward one step at a time. One step, got it?
What I always say is, walk on and whop 'em. If one of them others decides to stay put diagonally in front of you, then whop him one and he's out of the game. It's great fun, believe me. Off we go.
There's another trick you should know. On the first move, your pawn can go forward 2 steps instead of just 1. But only on your very first move. After that, it's not allowed, okay? And now you only need to know what en passant means. And you have to watch out with this one. The other pawn has moved 2 steps forward, but you can get him by pretending he's only gone forward 1 step.
Off you go. White makes the first move, and then you've got to get going and make sure you make it to the other side. And you've got to watch out that one of theirs doesn't get to your side first, 'cause then you've lost. We've won! We've won! We've won!
You want to play again? Then just click on the doghouse.
Now, what have we got here? King White? And who is this accompanying him? The terribly fat and terribly untalented Mr. Kaleidoscope. Good day, Mr. K. Still enjoying your just desserts?
King Black, it's totally irresponsible to challenge a child to a duel.
Oh, come on, come on. Nothing will happen to him, except perhaps that I will beat him and trample on his honor. And by trampling on his honor, I will be trampling on the honor of his father and his grandfather.
Who beat you, or can't you remember?
There's no need to talk about that. And after all, it isn't my fault that Fritz's father has gone and left his son all alone.
You'd been waiting for the moment when my parents went away.
And what if I had?
I'm certainly going to do all I can to help Fritz.
He's going to train in the brain-building IntelliGym.
Go ahead. Then our duel might be a bit more interesting, at least.
What a No, I won't say it. I'd only get in trouble. But one thing's for sure, we're gonna train like mad in this IntelliGym so that we have that mean old king squirming at our feet, begging for forgiveness.
I don't really have any other choice in the matter.
So I suppose this is the entrance to the arena.
That's right.
This is where the kings have fought their duels for longer than anyone can remember. Before that, the kings used to fight wars,
But that just wasted too many lives. So that's when they built the arena.
What a good idea.
Here we are then. This is the brain-building IntelliGym.
So this is where we're gonna do our training.
That's right. And in the meantime, I'm going to go for a little walk.
Any idea what we're supposed to do here?
Nope.
All right, what's going on? What's going on?
Hey, a rat.
That a problem?
Course not. But maybe you can tell us what we're supposed to do here.
It's more a question of whether I want to tell you. What are you doing here anyway?
King Black has challenged me to a duel, and I'm supposed to be here training for it.
King Black! Now he's started taking on children because they're easier to beat, I suppose.
You know him, do you?
Know him? In all the time I've been here in the IntelliGym, I've watched a load of grandmasters training, and I've kept a record of all of their best tricks. And King Black was stupid enough to challenge me to a duel.
Did he learn here too?
You bet he did, but I beat him soundly because I know the business. May I introduce myself? Chester, the Cheshire Rat, at your service.
Hello, Chester. I'm Fritz, and I'm standing in for the king.
And I'm Bianca, tender-loving cousin of the king's stand-in. So how about it? You gonna show us what to do?
If we're talking about King Black, I'll show you the ropes, and then you'll beat him hands down. You can Fritz him, so to speak. By the way, since I beat him, he hasn't been too keen on rodents like me. He's extremely ambitious, you see.
Aha! That explains the traps in his castle.
What a clever boy. Right, let's get down to some training. The king always starts.
That's me, then.
Exactly. Kings can go anywhere and fight, like sumo wrestlers. Slow but strong. Do you actually know what a sumo wrestler is?
Of course we do.
Being royalty, they only move one square at a time. Of course, a king also has his entourage. I'll keep it simple and show you using 2 pawns. Can I have 2 pawns, please?
On our way.
It's like in football, with all the players in the same team wearing the same colors. And of course, they never capture their own players.
What do you mean by capture?
When a king knocks an opponent's piece off, you say it's been captured. That pawn can't play anymore.
Why does it have to be me all the time?
There always has to be at least one square between the 2 kings. They can never stand right next to each other. So they can never move onto these squares.
Oh, just like with the sumo wrestlers.
Exactly. Except you can't just push your opponent's king off the mat.
But you can force him into a corner, can't you?
Yes. Here you can see 2 kings standing opposite each other. This is called opposition. If you stay as close as you can to the other king, you can really annoy him. Can you see? My purple king is in a tight spot. He can't get away from the edge of the board. Let's go. The first king to sit on his throne is the winner.
That's easy.
Maybe, maybe not. But one thing's for sure. You'll only manage it if you can push back the other king. Remember what that's called?
Nope.
Opposition. Let's start. You're white, and I'll be purple. Bingo! Do you remember what that is called?
Uppermization or something like that.
Opposition.
Exactly.
I've won.
Hey, that was a little too fast for me.
Then let's do it again.
I think I've got the hang of it now.
Good. But let's practice a bit more to be on the safe side.
Opposition.
Okay, I think we can move on. You now know what a king can do, and so I've got a little present for you.
Wow, great trophy. I wonder if it can go in the dishwasher.
What does it say on it?
A few words of wisdom. At the start, the king is wise and lets the others fight. At the end, he wants the prize and boldly shows his might.
Behold the trophy cabinet, and now observe what you can get. If you train hard and do your best, you'll be rewarded for your zest. For in the end your prize will be a shining cup for all to see.
What's he saying?
Train hard and you'll get trophies that are put in here. My mother sometimes goes to a gym like this, but that's more a matter of calorie burning than brain bulging.
In the duel, you'll have a whole load of pieces that you can move, and you have to give them their orders.
Hey, cool.
A rook has straight sides, and so it moves in a straight line.
It's like chasing the spiders at Tramplina Saveapenny's.
It can move as far as it wants until something gets in its way, like the white king here. If the rook wants to get to the square with a flag on it, it has to take an indirect route, and that takes 1,
2,
3.
4 moves.
Can't the white king just move over a little? That would be much quicker.
Well, you're smarter than I thought. I was just about to explain that. If the white king moves to the side, he leaves the path clear for the rook, and then you only need 1, 2 moves to get where you want to. And now, here's the million-dollar question. What do you do if one of your opponent's rooks is in your way?
Can't you just bash it out of the way?
good idea. I'll do that. Ta-da!
Too late. If you move there, the other rook can take you. So always think carefully first.
If I take the other king with my rook, have I won?
Slow down. You can't just take a king. You can only threaten him. That's what we call check.
I get you.
When a king is in check, he has to get out of it as quickly as possible.
And what if there isn't a way out?
That's called checkmate. and you've won. Look here.
Wait a minute. Isn't that opposition?
Exactly. And by doing that, we can stop King Purple from getting away. And now the rook has its big chance. Checkmate.
I don't believe it.
I'm afraid it is, though. The king has to escape because he's being threatened, but he can't because there aren't any escape routes left. He can't go here because the rook would be threatening him.
And he can't go there because he's not allowed to get that close to the other king.
Right. He can't budge an inch. Checkmate.
Now it's your turn. You've almost won here. One move with the white rook and black is mated. Try it.
Check. Checkmate! A rook like this can be really useful.
I wish we were already this far against King Black.
We'll make it, don't worry.
Hey, is that right? Did I really checkmate him?
You're quite talented, young lad. Checkmate! You've done it! Well done! As a prize, here's another trophy with a clever rhyme. At the start, the rook hangs about, but in the end, he knocks the king out.
How'd you get to be the trainer here anyway?
I've watched generation after generation of kings training here. That way even a puny sewer rat like me can pick up a few tricks.
And what's next?
The bishops. Bishops can only move diagonally.
Oh, we know that from smashing the toilets.
A bishop can move as far as he likes. A short way or a long way. Main thing is diagonally and only in one direction.
And what does the bishop do if another piece is in the way?
Then he has to make an emergency stop.
And what if it's a purple rook?
Then he can just push him off. Bam!
Are bishops dangerous?
Sure, they can put the king in check. See how he's threatening you now?
I'd better get out of here.
Good choice. The bishop can't get us here. We're on a dark square, and he can only move along the light ones.
Well spotted. And that's why the bishop has a twin brother. One of them covers the light squares, the other one the dark squares. Together, they're a strong team.
Oh man, we're in check. Let's get away fast.
That's the only square we can move to.
And mate, you're in check, and you can't move to any other square. You can't go there, because my king would threaten you.
King and bishop are guarding this one.
And his twin brother's guarding this square. That's really mean. Oh well, that won't happen to me again.
Come on, let's see what you've learned. Can you mate the enemy king in just one single brilliant move using your bishop?
Let's see.
Great! As you can see, it's easy to checkmate your opponent's king using two bishops. One isn't enough, I'm afraid. Let's try again.
I can't believe it. We've won.
Well, can you feel the muscles in your brain bulging?
I thought that was a bump.
Absolutely, you've won. Okay, you seem to know what to do with bishops. So, here's a new trophy for your collection.
I suppose there's another of those old sayings on it.
Sure, listen to this. 2 bishops, what a useful pair. Move diagonally from square to square, one on black and one on white. That's how they help you win the fight.
Oh, this is all too much for me. Are there only ever men in these weird duels?
No way, the most powerful person of all is the queen. The queen can move in any direction as far as she likes. That's the difference between her and the king.
Typical of us women. We girls are just more sporty than boys.
Nonsense. Boys just let girls get ahead every now and then.
Yeah, 'cause they don't stand a chance against us.
No, because they're cleverer.
No, they aren't.
Yes, they are.
Ah, cut it out, you guys. All we're interested in here is the queen and how she can move. Along the diagonal, and then straight over here, and the rooks are no more.
The rook made a pretty stupid move, though.
That's true, but you're only supposed to be finding out how the queen captures other pieces, and you know that now, don't you?
Yep.
The queen can make tons of different moves, so she can wear out the king and checkmate him without too much difficulty.
Just like at our house. My dad's always worn out when my mom goes off at him.
Look out! Here she comes. And the king's in check straight away.
Checkmate, no less.
That's what we girls are like.
Exactly. The king is guarding these 3 squares. And the queen is threatening both of the other escape routes.
I think we've got it.
In this exercise, you have to mate the enemy king using your queen in one single move. That's checkmate if ever it was. You used the queen with real skill. Yes, you've won.
Mate.
That was expertly done. Well mated. My compliments. You already play as if you've been doing this for years. There's one mistake that a lot of beginners make, but not you.
That's a change. I usually make every silly mistake there is to make. And what is the mistake then?
It looks as though I ought to win here, doesn't it?
That's true. But often the silliest mistakes are made on the simplest of moves. Now, unfortunately, you haven't won. It's a draw.
A draw?
It's also called stalemate. Probably because you'd have to sit like this until everything went stale.
But why isn't it checkmate? There's nowhere left for King Purple to go.
That's right. All the squares he could move onto are attacked by the queen. But the square he's on isn't attacked. And that's the small but important difference between stalemate and checkmate. If you're lucky, stalemate can save you from defeat, but it can also spoil the best of victories for you.
And which move would have been better?
This one. The king can't get away because all the squares around him are attacked.
And the square he's on is also attacked. So it's checkmate.
Precisely. And that's the subtle difference between a win and a draw. Right, you two. Should we be really silly for a change?
Shouldn't be too difficult for Fritz.
Hey, what do you mean?
Let's try and move the queen so that we reach stalemate. And we've got to do it in one move. Stalemate. Under normal circumstances, that would be annoying, but that's what we were aiming to do. Stalemate. Congratulations. Now I'm going to give you a new task. That's exactly right. I think you've had enough practice at checkmating and stalemating with the queen. And here's another trophy for you, and a few wise words. Checkmate's great. Stalemates we hate.
I think I'm almost ready to see what this King Black is made of.
Not quite. There are still a few things left to learn, like how the knight makes its moves. The horse is called a knight, and the knight is the only one that can jump over other pieces.
Like in horse jumping.
And it moves in a strange way, like the letter L. 2 forward and 1 to the side in any direction. So let's see where the knight can go.
2 forward and 1 to the side. It can move here.
2 forward and 1 to the side. And here too. And here too.
And here.
I've got another one.
2 forward and 1 to the side. Doesn't matter which direction.
Right. That was the last possibility.
Wow, that looks like a wheel.
Exactly. A knight wheel. The knight feels best when it can move to any of the points on the wheel. So, you can't do it very well here.
That knight wheel's got a flat tire.
That's right. And get him in a corner, and he'll have a nervous breakdown. So give your knight as much room to move as possible by placing him in the middle.
And he can capture other pieces too, can't he?
Of course. Like this, for example.
Great! And the king will soon be checkmate too. There isn't a single escape route. Well done, my knight in shining armor.
2 forward and 1 to the side. Click on all the squares your knight can get to. That's right. You found all the moves that are possible from here. That's it then. The full circle. Voila! A trophy for our horse jumpers as a reminder of Chester the Cheshire Rat.
Has it got another clever rhyme?
Yep. A night on the rim is ugly and dim.
Oh dear.
And now for the pawns.
They're those oddballs from Pleasantville, right?
Oh, you know them already. Then there's not a lot left for me to tell you. Pawns can only move forwards, and only one square at a time.
In Pleasantville, they were sometimes allowed to move forward 2 squares.
You know about that already? You're right. On its first move, a pawn can go forward 2 squares, but it doesn't have to.
And a pawn can only capture a piece by moving diagonally. Pawns capture side on.
Hey, what do you need me here for? Yes, if 2 pawns are standing face to face, nothing happens. They can only capture another piece which is diagonally in front of them.
Away with you! We already know all about that.
But there's one thing I bet you don't know. In the olden days, pawns were only ever allowed to move 1 square at a time. Moving 2 squares was introduced later.
And then?
Then you could simply move a pawn past another pawn without getting into any danger.
Very practical.
No, unfair. That's why en passant was introduced. It's French and means in passing. When a pawn moves forward 2 squares in passing, the enemy pawn can behave as though the other pawn had only moved forward 1 square. It can capture the pawn on the very next move.
In other words, it can get back at him. What was it called again? Impatience?
En passant, in passing.
There might even be a few experts who don't know this rule. And now it's time to show you a bit of magic.
Oh, should I say abracadabra?
No. I'll show you how you can turn your pawns into other pieces. It's called pawn promotion. When your pawn has managed to get across to the other side of the board, you can choose another piece to take its place. You can choose whichever piece you like, apart from a second king, of course.
I'll take the queen. That's obvious, isn't it? She's the most powerful.
Yes, usually the queen is the best choice. Theoretically, you could change all your pawns for queens, and then you'd have a whole harem of 9 queens on the board. But sometimes it's better to choose a different piece. What do you think would be best here?
A knight, I'd say.
Exactly. Because then you've mated King Purple quicker than you can snap your fingers. Sometimes a little is worth a lot.
That looks pretty complicated.
But it isn't really. The knight threatens the king and stops him being able to get away over here.
And the bishop is keeping watch over the other squares that the king could flee to.
True, it's really not half as difficult as it looks.
Now I want you to show me what you're made of. There are 2 rows of pawns opposite each other here, and it's your job to get one pawn right across to the other side so that it can be exchanged for something different.
And what if we checkmate the king on the way?
Then you've won, of course. Choose a piece to replace the pawn. Probably a queen, but maybe a knight would be better. I have to say, you seem to have gotten the hang of everything. At least as far as pawns are concerned, that is.
Now we're going to get another of those lovely trophies.
May I present you with your trophy, and of course the timeless words of wisdom. Pawns may well seem small and frail, but without them you'd be doomed to fail. If you want, you can now continue the game and finish me off.
At the start, the king is wise and lets the others fight. At the end, he wants the prize and boldly shows his might. Checkmate's great, stalemates we hate. Pawns may well seem small and frail, but without them you'd be doomed to fail. At the start, the rook hangs about, but in the end he knocks the king out. Two bishops, what a useful pair. Move diagonally from square to square, one on black and one on white. That's how they help you win the fight. A knight on the rim is ugly and dim.
And what's that supposed to be?
That's a chessometer. It weighs up whether you've learned enough to go on to the next workout room.
What room's that?
The workout room for middleweights. You didn't seriously think we'd done enough already, did you?
How should I know?
Up you go. Congratulations. The chessometer says you're not lightweights anymore, and you're ready to go on to become middleweights.
At last! Wow, there's lots more to do here.
That's right. This is where the middleweights train, and that is what you are now. You should have seen the look on his face, being beaten by a rat. But then, it wasn't just any old rat. It was Chester, the Cheshire Rat. Or in other words, me.
Is King Black good?
He's pretty clever, but he's not unbeatable. Come on then, both of you. Let's see who's on the team.
Sounds like a game of football.
If you want to think of it like that. In the duel, every piece has its own special place. There are numbers and letters on the edge of the board which will help you to put the pieces in the right places. Let's start with the queen. The black queen goes on the dark square marked D. The white queen goes on the light square marked D. Now put your queen on the right square. The king stands next to her, of course. And they're both in the middle. You try. The rooks go in the corners.
It looks like a castle now.
Exactly. The rooks look like towers, and castles usually have towers or turrets like these on the corners. And on the squares right next to them go our brave and gallant knights.
Right. B for brave and G for gallant.
That's right. Would you put those two on the board, please? The two bishops are the so-called chief advisors. They stand next to the king and queen so that they can tell them what's going on. And the pawns stand in a row in front of the other pieces. Can you put them on the board, please? That's all there is to it. Now, both sides are ready. Now it's time to show what you can do. Grab the pieces next to the board and put them in the right places. Remember all the things I've told you, And if you can't do it, click on the small gong and I'll explain things to you again.
The queens are right on.
The other king goes here, doesn't he?
Sure does. Well done. The knights are in exactly the right position. The bishops are ready and waiting. Yes, the pawns are all present and correct. Time for your reward.
Another cool trophy for our collection.
With a clever rhyme.
In each corner stands a rook. Then come the knights. Let's take a look. Next the bishops, then king and queen, and a row of pawns complete the scene. At the beginning, the rooks just stand around looking a bit silly. But if the way is clear, you can use them to do a really cool trick. Stair climbing.
And how many stairs does a rook have?
I don't mean it like that. The rooks can move up the board as if they're climbing upstairs. And gradually force the opponent's king towards the edge. Until the king is checkmated.
Cool.
One of the rooks is always the guard, the other one the hunter. The guard makes sure the king doesn't get away. The hunter forces him further up the board.
They take it in turns to be hunter and guard.
Right. The hunter attacks the king by putting him into check. As the guard is blocking one of the escape routes, the king has to go in the other direction. Now the guard becomes the hunter, and the whole process is repeated.
Hey, careful. The king will take the rook.
So we now have to move to another staircase. Get it?
Oh yeah, the king can't get over there as quickly.
Now the other rook has to move over there too, and they have to be careful not to get in each other's way. And then the chase continues to its bitter end.
Somehow I feel a bit sorry for the poor king.
Check and mate. Climbing stairs like this is fun.
Now it's your turn to climb the stairs. Deliver checkmate to King Purple, and if he gets too close, don't forget to change staircases. I've got to give it to you. You're getting to be serious competition for King Black. The way you climbed up those stairs with your rooks was fantastic.
Mate, cool, we've won. And mate.
Trophy time! And here you have another wonderful trophy for your collection. Mate on the staircase with 2 rooks, and then you'll get admiring looks.
Not another clever saying.
A draw means that a game is a tie or undecided.
You mean like 0-0?
Or 1-all.
You've got it.
And I suppose there are rules for this.
That's right. Why don't you click on them?
The game is a draw if both players agree to this.
Cowards.
The game is a draw if the same position occurs 3 times, and it's the same player's move.
What does he mean by that?
If everything's just going round in circles.
The game is a draw if no pawns have been moved and no pieces captured for 50 moves.
Quite right, too. That's boring.
The game is a draw if it's stalemate.
And then that stale alarm goes off again.
Shame. No! Oh, dear.
And now for a bit of castling.
A bit of whatting?
Castling. If the king and the rook haven't moved yet, and the squares between them are empty, they can jump over each other. The king moves 2 squares to the side, and the rook jumps over him. That's called castling.
Can the other rook do that too?
Sure. Let me show you. You move the king 2 squares to the side, and the rook jumps over him.
And what's the point?
Maybe you can quickly get the king out of check that way.
Afraid not, but you can hide him before he's attacked.
You mean before he's in check?
Correct. However, if the king is already in check, he can't make a quick getaway by castling. In this case, neither king can castle.
That's a shame.
And a king can't pass through check. That is, cross a square attacked by an enemy piece. You can see that here.
You've really got to keep your eyes peeled.
And to top it all, it has to be the first move which both of the pieces make. Now we can't castle anymore.
Let's go through it one more time, nice and slow. You can only castle if...
First, the king and rook haven't moved yet. Second, the king isn't in check. Third, the king doesn't have to cross a square attacked by an enemy piece. Fourth, the squares between them are empty.
I think we'll have to practice.
And the million-dollar question? Are you allowed to castle here? The answer is correct. 100 points for this guy. 100% correct. Absolutely right. Hey, that was exactly the right answer. Can't get righter than that. Ta-da! Correct. Absolutely right. Okay, you seem to got the hang of castling. So, here's another classic trophy for you to dust, with an inscription, of course.
What does it say?
You may this try with rook and king, a special move called castling. Yet some conditions must be met, or else this move you can forget.
Very nice.
Are you ready for our next trick then, the pair of you?
I'm ready.
So am I.
You can checkmate your enemy with a rook and your king.
And how can we do that?
Cornering the king is a trick for real experts. The white rook has built a prison for the other king. Here you can see the walls. Now there are only 9 squares for King Purple to move around in.
I just knocked the rook off the board.
Looks like you've forgotten the Sumo Wrestlers. A king can never stand right next to another king.
Well, my dears, it's King Purple's turn and he moves off. The rook can now make the prison even smaller, so the king only has 6 squares left to move around in.
And now only 3.
But now things are getting a bit tricky for the rook. It can't make the prison any smaller.
Otherwise, King Purple could just bash it off.
That's right. The rook can't make the prison any smaller without getting into trouble itself. That's why the king has to come closer. Now the rook can make the prison even smaller and is protected by its own king. King Purple moves onto the last possible square. Now watch closely. If the rook moved in, it'd be stalemate, see? The king can't get away, but is unfortunately in check. Look carefully.
So it's up to the other king.
Excellent. Now the poor fellow has to go into opposition, like the sumo wrestlers.
Can't we just miss a turn? Then King Purple would have to move into the corner and it'd be checkmate.
Well spotted, but that won't work. We can't just skip our move. That's why we now make a move to play for time. That doesn't change anything, and now it's the other king's turn again.
And now we can finish him off.
At last, checkmate. That was hard work.
Practice makes perfect. Deliver mate to your opponent's king. You've made a great job of cornering the king and delivered mate in a masterly fashion.
Hey, great! You finished him off.
He's been fritzed.
You deserve a prize for cornering the king like a real expert.
And another trophy.
Corner the king and you're sure to win.
Cool.
In each corner stands a rook. Then come the knights. Let's take a look. Next, the bishops, then king and queen, and a row of pawns complete the scene. You may this try with rook and king, a special move called castling. Yet some conditions must be met, or else this move you can forget. Mate on the staircase with 2 rooks, and then you'll get admiring looks. Corner the king, and you're sure to win.
Aha! You want to weigh yourselves again, do you?
Wow! It gives you butterflies.
Goodness gracious, you're really coming on strong. From now on, you can train with the heavyweights.
Well, I think we can be really proud of ourselves.
You certainly can. Heave-ho! Heave-ho! Welcome to the Heavyweight Gym. Only the most powerful kings are allowed to train here. You've really done well to get here at all.
And what comes after the heavyweight gym?
I think then it'll be about time to let you loose on King Black.
Tell us a bit about one of those duel things. What exactly happens? Does anything really bad ever happen?
No, it doesn't, I'm pleased to say. Before the duel, you shake hands, and at the end as well. That's how you show that it's only a game, even though some people insist on collecting rat traps at the end. Capturing isn't everything. Sometimes it's better to keep a low profile so as not to get into danger. Now for a bit of loosening up. This is fun. Knock off as many pieces as you can. When you've done that, new pieces will immediately appear, and you can do the same to them too.
Is that really such a good idea?
That doesn't matter now. You won't have much time to think because you're playing against the clock. You've got 1 minute. Any questions? On your marks, get set, go! Cool. You're a real pro. And you deserve another trophy.
Another one.
How many have we got already?
The kitchen's half full of them. So what's it say this time?
Hit not your foe before you look to see where dangers lurk. A hidden pawn or knight or rook might wipe out your good work.
Wow.
As a special honor, you can now join the ranks of the best of the best of the best. Enter your name.
What shall I put?
Right, the greatest. Or your name. It boils down to the same thing. Good work, partner. Good. You've made a good job of increasing your chess brain power. And you're going to need all you've learned. Because now you're going to have to do some really tricky exercises for experts. And they're bound to have you sweating.
Sounds like just the right thing for us.
The last row of squares is known as the back rank. If the king is mated there, it's known as back rank mate. Let me show you. The white rook is in a great position and can really put pressure on the other player. And the enemy king is in a very weak position, shaking in his boots behind his row of pawns. So, what are you going to do now?
Finish him off, of course. Wham! Checkmate!
A wonderful back rank mate. Want to try again?
You bet.
This time, you'll need 2 moves to mate the enemy king. Have a close look. What's different to the first time?
There are 2 rooks, a purple one and a white one.
First of all, have a think about which 2 moves would put the king in checkmate. And when you know the answer, click on the board.
Think, crackle, grind, crunch. If there's a funny smell around here, it's probably my brain sizzling. Got it. The white rook comes racing in first. Check!
Exactly. Then the purple rook rushes to help his king and knocks the white rook off the board.
A cunning trap, 'cause now it's white's turn again. The rook moves forwards, and it's mate on the back rank. My compliments. Well, I think we might even be ready now to try checkmate in 3 moves. A purple queen and a white queen now join in. Otherwise, the pieces are the same.
Uh-oh, queens are dangerous.
So what's different to last time? When you think you know, click on the board.
I think I've got it. First of all, the rook puts the king in check.
That won't last long.
Now for my second move. The queen rushes over.
Now she's also been captured.
Third move and check and mate, 'cause you can't knock off this rook.
And mate on the back rank.
Superb! So you see, if you always remember what you're trying to do, then these tasks aren't very difficult at all. There are a lot of different ways of delivering mate. One of them has a particularly mean name. It's called smothered mate.
That sounds awful.
For this, you take advantage of the fact that your opponent's king is barricaded in by his own pieces, so that he can hardly move. In cases like this, often one tiny little check is enough to cut off his air supply. And because he's surrounded by pieces on all sides, we use the only piece that can jump.
The knight.
That's right. The knight can jump over all obstacles and deliver mate. It's all over. Smothered mate. In this next one, not much has changed, really. The rook is a little further away, and white has an extra queen.
If the knight jumped again, then the king would have a small air supply.
There's probably a better idea, isn't there?
Exactly. First of all, we'll block off this air supply by getting the rook next to the king. The queen will help us do this. The king can't capture the queen because the square she's on is protected by the knight. If he did that, he'd be in check.
Oh dear, now the purple rook is coming and it'll take the queen.
But that's exactly what we wanted, isn't it? The king is now surrounded by his own people again.
Yippee! The knight can now make its move and we've won after all.
Now you're on your own. Deliver mate to the enemy king. You can see how many moves you need on the right.
If I win too often, I might forget that I'm actually a nice, modest, rather shy young boy. Yippee! I've won!
Mate, what did I say? You can do it.
One move, and then it's checkmate. Go on, do it. This amount of brain training deserves a reward.
With all these trophy cups we're getting, isn't it about time we got something to drink?
If a picture of mate you have in your head, then victory is yours. You can take it as read.
If a picture of mate you have in your head, then victory's yours. You can take it as read. Hit not your foe before you look to see where dangers lurk. A hidden pawn or knight or rook might wipe out your good work.
This is a duel simulator. It's almost like being in the arena itself in there. This is a game for advanced players. If you want to win against King Black, you need to train on this chess machine as often as possible.
And how does it work?
You'll see a number in the top right-hand corner of the machine. You can get pieces for that amount by clicking on the pieces buttons. The chess machine then puts together its own team with the same value. And then you play against each other. Get it?
Not really. I have to put together a team. And what happens if I change my mind halfway through?
Then you can put your pieces into the trash and choose different ones instead. And if you want to put them in different positions, just move them around. Once you've used up all your points and you're happy about everything, click on Start.
I suppose we get another of those old cups at the end, do we?
Not this time. And something else. You can pull the chain on the side to get yourself a new number.
And what will the number be?
No idea. It's complete chance. Okay, ready to duel? Hey, you've won! Was that luck or coincidence?
Pure skill.
Okay, then let's play again right now. It's sometimes quite useful to know how much each piece is worth.
What does it mean, worth?
Well, there are more important and less important pieces. Click on them and you'll find out more. It doesn't matter two hoots how many pieces you capture during a duel. The only thing that counts is whether you can checkmate the king. And because you can't play without a king, the king has no value. Pawns are not very powerful and are only worth 1 point each, but they can be very useful, so take good care of them anyway. Knights are worth 3 points, the same as the bishops. But if things are tight, the knight has a slight advantage because it's the only one that can jump over the other pieces. Bishops are worth 3 points. If there are lots of free squares on the board and you've still got both bishops, you get an extra point. They're more useful together, you see.
We learned that in the lightweight gym.
A rook can checkmate together with the king. That's what makes rooks worth more than knights and bishops. So rooks are worth 5 points.
Yep!
The queen is worth the most, of course, 9 points. So take good care of your queen, whatever you do. Well, Bianca, Fritz, I've showed you everything you need to know now. How do you feel?
Great!
Well, let's see what the Chessometer has to say.
Hold tight, Bianca.
Lightweight training, middleweight training, heavyweight training. You've really done it all.
You what? Have we finished?
Yes, you have. Now you're ready to take on King Black. This is going to be fun.
About time, too.
His brain well trained, may I present the White King, Fritz, on victory bent. And bravely at his side will fight his Queen Bianca, all in white. Long have they learnt the art of chess. They're ready now to fight the best. Long live our stars, our royal pair, a mighty hand, and please take care.
Well, you little whippersnapper. Hope you're not going to wet your pants.
I'll soon wipe the smile off his face. Move it, you're in the way.
You don't stand a chance against me.
He who laughs last laughs longest.
Now you've as good as lost. Check.
But not mate by a long shot.
Check! Bye-bye.
One less, you little squirt. Check, you little squirt.
So what, old King Black? We'll soon pay you back.
See you. Checkmate. Autographs are available from my assistant, Bianca.
Three cheers I ask for this good pair. Fritz and Bianca are winners fair. Succeed they did against King Black, and with great skill they fought him back. And you, King Black, should hide in shame. Fighting youth's no claim to fame. Pride always comes before a fall. Your wicked deeds will tell to all. Dear Fritz, you play a game of chess worthy of your granddad. Yes, though you are young, with skill you play, and once again you've saved the day. I can't believe it. Do you know what it says here? King Black shamelessly made the most of our absence and challenged young Fritz to a duel.
Oh, my goodness!
But Fritz won.
Oh, I'm so proud of him.
Please be so kind and let me know against whom you would choose to go. Make your choice with one fast click and play against the one you pick.
Hey, you're back again.
We've had a very relaxing time, and we read about your duel in the paper.
We're so proud of you.
Well, let's get going then.
Are you fritzed out already? Do you want to stop?